All right, I think we are live. If one of my colleagues could confirm that to me on chat, that would be fantastic. Are you there, Dan?
I certainly am, mate. Nice to be here. It's a long time since we've had a webinar together.
It has been. It's
And,
a very important circumstance.
and I do believe
Um,
we're absolutely full to the brim tonight.
we are totally full to the brim, and I've got to apologise in advance because we are so full that it's absolutely driving GoToWebinar bats. So we will forge ahead and do the best we can. We do want to take questions as well. I have got zero control over the questions at the moment because there are so many people who are trying to get in. So we will just try to soldier on. But we are live, which is fantastic.
And the good thing is
And
we've found a bug in GoToWebinar.
we've found a very big bug in GoToWebinar. Boy, have we ever. Okay, but we'll have to chat about that later on. But look, I entitled this slide, this whole presentation, Facebook, the Facts. And, just by way of, introduction, Dan and I were basically the day that they allowed non-college members to Facebook, Dan and I joined up. And it's, well, because given both Dan and my academic records are so stellar at that tertiary level, we hadn't had the
There's no
opportunity to
chance
get
of
into
us getting an
Facebook.
account otherwise.
There was no chance beforehand of us getting anywhere near that account. So, we've been on Facebook a long, long time, since, as I say, since day one. And I suppose, look, as I said in the email sending out to this webinar, we have had a philosophy at, Challenge Plus and the Immediate Edge and the Challenge, never to, only to teach stuff that we're actually using and testing ourselves. And we've had our share of mistakes on Facebook. Boy, have we! We've had accounts burned. We've had all these sorts of things happen over the course of the last 3 years. And most importantly, though, I think we've tried to, in the classic era was, of course, using our personal profile to try use it as a marketing platform.
Absolutely. I
Um,
mean, that was personally, we treated it initially like you would do, say, a Twitter account or something like that.
Correct.
And I don't think one of the things we never kind of realized, as right the early days, it was just a new platform for us to jump on and test and play around with. And we did
Exactly.
the classic mistake of literally adding, 5,000 friends to it. And I think for a long time we didn't really realize the true value of Facebook until I think both of us removed everybody but our own personal friends and family. And
Yeah.
then really the real core of Facebook became apparent at that point.
Well, you were telling me, Dan, about the hairdresser test, and I have the Julie test.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you explain the hairdresser test to people?
Yeah, sure. I mean, with every any technology, I'm always because I'm right at the front of it. I'm always testing new stuff, and I never know whether something really is as important in the real world, as it were, as in the non-internet marketing. Because there's three different groups. There's like there's Ed and I who just jump on absolutely everything for testing purposes. There's internet marketers as the whole crowd of people who treat every service as a marketing platform, and then there's the actual real people in the world who use a service for the actual original intention of it. And to me, when my hairdresser started talking about using Facebook and originally like Twitter and MySpace, that's when I
Yep.
know that something has become completely mainstream. When everybody's using it, is when she starts talking about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And this has been and this is, this was the other thing with me. I've got the Julie test here at home, and you know, basically what I believe happened is this: is that as marketers, we think numbers are great. We love the fact that we've got an audience of 5,000, or we've got a Twitter following of 30,000, or whatever it happens to be. But and it humbles me to say this, but you know the the real genius of Mark Zuckerberg and the Facebook is they are so far ahead of the curve. I
Mm-hmm.
wonder if there has been somebody on the planet who has understood the way people connect than Mark and his crew. I mean, it has been phenomenal because I can remember the time vividly. It was January 2009. January 2009. I'm in San Francisco, and Facebook was dead to me because it was it just seemed like rubbish to me. It was full of information and stuff of people that I'd never known, that I don't know. It was just like my stream was completely useless. And what was more frustrating was the occasional interesting thing, like seeing my brother drunk in London from the other side of the world, stuff like that. Choice quality content. Which is really important to me as watching what my friends and family are doing. I was missing it and couldn't see it, and so but then I saw the first stat that really made me go, huh? And that was the 250 million stat, and that was 250 million at that time were on Facebook. Now, in the good old web industry, and if you had experience to the .com days, as Dan and I did, when you hear the number 250 million, okay, right, 250 million have registered, nobody, nowhere near that. And then the kicker was that at that time, that was people who had actually actively used the site for at least a half an hour in the prior month. And that made me go, huh? Because this was active users. Now, of course, fast forward today, and Facebook is the third largest continent on the planet.
Yeah, I mean,
and the engagement figures are ridiculous. 10% of the US population in July were playing Farmville.
It's there's 583 million registered users now.
Yeah, for 1 in 4 page views in the United States, 1 in 4 page views in the United States are Facebook. And what really got me thinking about this in the second part was if, again, Dan and my job is to notice things. And I started noticing when I was up in Queensland in July, I went to a great place. It's called the Yamundi Markets, and it's all handmade crafts and, candle wax, wax candles and cigar box guitars, which is totally cool. All sorts of things. But there was something I always try to take notice of what are people using to promote themselves with, because at that end of the market you would argue that they're not tech is not exactly a high end priority. And I was looking at this and something hit me. As I was going, where are the web addresses? Where have the web addresses gone? Where are the websites? There was Twitter, and what was phenomenal to me was Facebook pages, because we've been testing Facebook pages again since the day they came out, and we were, how do we put this, Dan? What, underwhelmed would be the way to put it.
I think the key thing is you're so used to seeing what we call a typical web page that when you see a Facebook web page, a Facebook page, and then you instantly your brain compares it to like something like MySpace, which could be uber customizable, and you see a Facebook page and it's like bland.
Yes.
And I think it was like, this is never going to take off.
Yeah, totally. And that's, again, where Zuckerberg knew way, way better than us. And so what we want to do today is, in the theme of the facts, what I want to do is we obviously want to make the case. We've been talking about the stats, and we're going to go into a bit more detail of that and show you some real numbers. We're then going to show you elements of where this impacts across your online business. The whole smart opt-in and the whole craze currently of opt-ins. We're going to talk about that, what's super dangerous about that, and also, with just a little bit of understanding what is totally awesome about that. As you all know, I'm passionate about market leadership. I think ultimately the way to differentiate yourself, the way to have the best SEO, the way to get the most backlinks, the way to do all of this is through what I call market leadership. It's something I've been incredibly passionate about, and I want to explain to you why Facebook, and in particular Facebook pages, has changed everything, and give you the data, the actual data to back that up. But then the most important thing, of course, as we often joke around here, will it blend? horrific sight. I can't believe when they put an iPhone or an iPad in it, just angels die when they do that. It really is horrible. But let's face it, the thing has to be, is it more than just a cool place to chat? Does it drive opt-ins? Can it fill webinars? And most importantly of all, can you sell stuff? Because we, on this call, on this extremely full webinar, are first and foremost people who are in online business. And business is about making money. And it's crucial that, there's no point ringing the alarm bells, playing the game changer card, if it's not going to have an impact on your bottom line. So we want to give you actual data and actual stats on that. And then what I want to show you is just even a couple of things that I think most people aren't actually aware of with a Facebook page. That again, I think what we're seeing at the moment, Dan, I was thinking this last night. What we're seeing is the classic case. We've said this about the web. When radio was first invented, the first radio shows were just newspapers being read out on radio, because that was that they were taking the media of the day, putting it into. The first television shows were literally the radio announcers of the day with a microphone stuck in with a camera in front of them. That was the first TV shows. And it wasn't until they figured out the soap and things that suited the format that these different things took off. And of course, with internet, what did people try to do first? They just tried to put brochures online. They just tried to put in, they take their company and they put a brochure online that they had printed somewhere, and that would be it. And it was the stuff that made the internet take off was the stuff that you couldn't have done before without that medium. So eBay, for example, and Flickr, and Twitter even, and all of these different, Amazon, all of these different groundbreaking services were not possible without the infrastructure that was the internet. Even stuff like the iPad. You're seeing second generation applications now like Flipboard that couldn't have existed without the iPad. And it takes the iPad, it gives the iPad a reason for being. Now, here's what we're seeing with Facebook, Dan, and I'd love your opinion on this. What I'm seeing is internet marketers trying to teach you how they were very successful on the web and trying to take that to Facebook.
Well, we're also seeing that, and we're seeing basically just the same internet marketing skills, the techniques that people have learned in the internet marketing community. People are trying to apply those to Facebook, and that is a completely wrong way of doing things. And really early on when Facebook especially first released their advertising platform, everybody went about and literally tried to throw their Google AdWords at Facebook, and
yes,
without a doubt, they were all either it just didn't work, or they were banned from Facebook. And we're seeing that with the same with pages now. People are treating Facebook pages as they would do a sales letter or a lead capture or whatever. And I think what is really needed right at this very moment in time is a bit of a redefinition of what a Facebook page is, how it should be used, and more importantly, how the market expects you to actually use it. And that's the key thing, is how people who use Facebook expect to be communicated with. And I think that's where everybody in the internet marketing community is really getting it wrong at the moment.
Exactly, and we'll show you some examples of this as we go through on the presentation. Now, what has caused me to go all extremely hot and bothered about Facebook? Because again, I was doing something with Facebook pages, and just for those of you who are joining on, and let's definitely create this, because the terminology is very similar, so it doesn't. And the genius of Facebook is that they made your Facebook profile, that's your personal Facebook profile, almost work exactly the same way as a Facebook page, and sometimes called a Facebook fan page. A Facebook page, though, is for entities. You as a public person, your public persona, bands, products, books, movies. This is the commercial arm of Facebook. And I argued till I was blue in the face with people that were promoting using your personal profile to connect, because it struck me as wrong. And when I saw how Julie was using it, how Lenny was using it, how real people were using it, forget internet marketers, and we cleared out our accounts, all of a sudden the magic and majesty and genius of Facebook became obvious, because it was a way of keeping in touch with the people that mattered to you in a way that didn't require you to have any more effort than click on a mouse. Genius. Pure, unadulterated genius. Now, you've got to the point, and again, Gary Halbert beat into me when I was working with him. Beat into me. Ed, you go where the starving crowd is. I don't care if you're trendy. I don't care if you're smart. I don't care anything. You must be where the hungry crowd is. And guess what, folks? Joe and Jane Smith have left the internet. Wired, in an article which got them absolutely lambasted by the digerati, absolutely smashed, had the very provocative headline saying the web is dead.
Yeah, I read
and you know
that.
what?
That's a good one.
Yeah, I know, and it was a great headline, and I knew what they were getting at. The internet's not dead. All of this stuff runs on the internet. Of course it's not dead. That's a stupid thing to say. What they were saying is, who surfs the web like we did 4 years ago? Who goes from site to site to site looking at stuff? I ask you, who does? Real people don't. And here's the other thing that real people don't like, is they hate getting the latest Nigerian, increase the length of your third leg. Gee, I've just had somebody die in a car crash. Can I please use your bank account? And, let you drop 70 pounds type email, spam, virus, etc. I said 12 months ago that people were fleeing to Facebook.
Well, it's a
because
safe
it's
haven.
not, it's a safe haven, because you're only if, and let's face it, Joe and Jane Smith aren't adding people to get to their 5,000 personal profile limit. They're just adding people they know. People want to go to Facebook because, as Dan said, it's a total safe haven. It's a place where they can interact with the people that they want to interact with, and they have to specifically give permission. And that's why I think it's so insane for you to ever approve as a personal friend on your personal profile somebody you don't know. It's just nuts, because of what we're going to explain a bit later on. You just never, ever, ever, ever want to do that. Fast forward to, this year. So I've been using the Facebook page, and basically what I had done was treat my Facebook page as another broadcast mechanism for my general market leadership. It was another website. It was like, a blogger blog, or a posterous. It was just something that I distributed information to automatically. And so I was again blinded to the effect. I made a mistake. I stuffed up. The day after I made the specific change, which I'm going to tell you about right now, that top left-hand brick happened. 79,815 daily post views. I went, what? What? I was stunned.
I do believe I actually said to you, has there been a mistake in insights?
Exactly. I assume that. So what happened on day 2? You can see the middle block there, and you can see my active users went up from 3,000. And this is not, I'm not a Facebook. My Facebook page, which is facebook.com/tubbynerd, for those of you who are following along, please like it, is not a huge. At the time, there was around probably 3,500, 4,000 likes on that page. And so I sent an email out the following day to say, could you do us a favor and hit my like button? And you can see it jumped up there, almost 2,000, and you can see the 82,000 views, and it hasn't changed. But I don't want you to fall for the hype. I have bad days. If I don't post on my page, I've had a horrible day. Look at this. Look at these figures, Dan. Everybody can jump off now. Facebook pages, total waste of time.
I think you just ruined your reputation.
I know. Look at that. Look at that. Sorry, folks. Sorry for, hyping this up. This is total rubbish, right? 7,888 views today. I'm sorry. I know. Not good enough. I mean, that really sucks. You know, obviously, just to, yes, I am being extraordinarily sarcastic. I will take 7,888 people viewing my stuff, viewing my information any day. What was the big change? What was the single thing that I did? Was it that I stopped using listening pens at the ready? This is crucial. I stopped treating my Facebook page like a auto posting mechanism. I physically this is all I did. Instead of automatically typing something up on my blog and having that auto post using a service like Postgres or Hootsuite or one of those, I simply turned it all off, and I actually got off my virtual bottom, and I actually posted the link into Facebook, and I actually typed an actual comment on my actual Facebook page. That was it. That was it. And the torrent of traffic started arriving. And that was the key element. So now I'm not sure if I've got actual control of my computer here because there's this GoToWebinar blog. But if you go to a Facebook page which looks just like your profile, at the top of the box, you will see there's a place just to add a status. Just like it looks exactly like your personal profile on Facebook, which is it's genius. That's why it's so easy to use. That's why so many businesses, I believe, are now jumping onto a Facebook page because people aren't charging them $10,000 a head, and they're seeing the traffic. They're seeing results. So the numbers are, the raw visual numbers are irrefutable. They're totally irrefutable in my mind. And that has led us to a bunch of conclusions and a bunch of tests. So
now,
let's get cracking on.
Can I just jump
yeah,
in
please.
Yes. Okay. You're a well-known internet marketer. You've already got a very good list of people who follow you and communicate with you on a regular basis. So they're used to getting a stream of activity from you. So when you say, "Okay, have a look at my Facebook page," then obviously it enables you to actually grow that page quicker. Now, I'm going to take an example of one of my wife's pages on Facebook, and she only started this one 3-4 weeks ago. And now she's getting around about 270 to 300 new fans on that page a day, and that's with zero list. I mean, that literally was from starting from scratch up to what she's getting at the moment. And her daily page views are nowhere near, but she's getting around about 400, 500 unique page views a day on Facebook. And that's from a business which is literally from zero. It's a brand new niche and no list, no nothing. So I just want to kind of put that into perspective so that it's not a channel which you can then exploit if you've already got an existing channel.
No, and this is the huge thing. Let me give you two other quick examples. One is sort of marketing one, and then one completely out of good old real person, real income stuff. Danny Batalik, who we all know and love, buying and selling website expert, and helped us out on the challenge, showing people how to sell their websites if they didn't work for them. Started his Facebook page, ran some ads, and got Facebook likes, and went from 0 to getting fans and likes straight away because the traffic is there. This is where everybody is. This is where the traffic is. But will it blend? Will the traffic work? Now, my favorite example was by another great friend of the challenge, Kevin Taylor from Tallahassee, and KT has been working with a hairdresser in Tallahassee. I think it's Emily, and she has 800 and so on people who've liked her page. Now we're talking local hairdresser. But here's the thing. And we'll show you this in a little while, but let me tease it for you. Here's the thing. She's got 800 likes. It's a hairdresser.
Fantastic.
We can now advertise to, here's the demographic profile, and I hope you start to understand why this is so powerful. And for all of you, and I know a lot of you are, getting into local marketing, why a Facebook fan page is just a must. Because check this out. Once they've liked that page, we can advertise to people who are friends of the people who liked the page. Stay with me. Friends of the people who liked the page who live in Tallahassee. And that's awesome. Right? Because how does a hairdresser grow their business?
Word of mouth.
It's word of mouth, right? It's oh, I love your hair. Where'd you get it done? And so Facebook has automated that process for pennies a click. But that's not the best bit. That's still not the best bit. With that ad, you can send them to a tab on the Facebook page, which allows you to give them a coupon. And that coupon they can bring in for a discount on a colouring or whatever. I hope you understand the power of what I just said. I mean, it really, truly changes the way we market, because all the real people, Joe and Jane Smith, the Joe and Jane Smiths that we want, and Dan and I were having this discussion the other day. People say, oh, it's only Facebook. I don't use Facebook. I'm not interested. Dan and I as marketers have to divorce how our habits and what we do from what real people do, because we're not real people. All the real people are on Facebook.
I'm going to jump in again and say,
yeah, go for it.
We did a little bit of a study at The Edge, which basically analysed how many people in the internet marketing community were actually on Facebook, or should I say had signed into Facebook within the last 24 hours. And the way you do that is basically when somebody goes to a site, we can check to see whether there is a Facebook authentication method there. And if we looked at the internet marketing community against any of our other niches, there was actually nearly 15% less people in the IM community who'd been on Facebook in the last 24 hours than there was on the internet as a whole. And that really hit home to me that marketing and internet marketers don't really get Facebook. Because if they haven't been into Facebook for the last 24 hours, then there's a good chance they're not using it on a proper basis. And I guess that was one of the reasons when we first started putting this webinar together. That's something I really wanted to get across was, it's about separating yourself out, using a service as real people would actually use it. And think about the marketing side of it, but actually understand the service. And I think that's the genius of Mark Zuckerberg, like we just with the hairdressing example. It's like, if you look at that and you think about that was developed years ago, that was the long-term implication of Facebook to allow all these connections. And to me, that's just pure genius. And I think if one thing I wanted to take away from this seminar, this webinar, is that, even if you're not planning to use Facebook for marketing purposes right at this very moment in time, you've got to be on Facebook and actually using it like your friends are.
Yes, because that's the
key thing.
Exactly, the real people who have real money, who are in the demographic, because if they're on Facebook, and my goodness, and here's and by the way, I've got a picture on screen here at the moment, which is just an example of one post from my page, and I just want it's a little bit grey, so just underneath the picture there, this one post I did it on December 8 at 11:16 a.m. so far has gathered 9,121 impressions. Okay, I'll take that. Thank you very much. Because the same thing I tested on my blog, and I love my blog, and I thought I had a pretty good blog. It had 1/10 of the traffic. It had around 900.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing that really hurts, or is awesome, depending on your viewpoint. My blog comment rate, 1. 0.62% feedback. In other words, I've got 27 people who liked. This is just a good old standard thing that I typically tweet out. 27 likes, which are crucial, as you will soon see, and 26 comments, including the magnificent Kevin Taylor there, who's really doing some clever things. in the local
But it
marketing
is
space.
Facebook. It is all about engagement, and that's the one thing that separates and sets Facebook aside is that people engage. People engage with posts.
Absolutely. So, what we're trying to do here is build a compelling argument because there's been so much bad rubbish and bad marketing in terms of how to use Facebook that I'm seeing peddled around the place that we've to quote Gary Halbert, there's so much carbonized shit there. We've got to crack through that and just make you look at it all afresh, because that level of engagement I do not achieve anywhere else. Bottom line. And people say, "What about Ed? What are you telling me here?" And let me tell you, I'm going to be telling you some shocking things. But do I get that same thing was tweeted out? How many responses? How many feedback? The equivalent of feedback? How many retweets? How many comments did I get on that? Less than half a dozen. Less than 6. And when you start to see some of the reports about how many people who are on Twitter as opposed to how using, like I have allegedly 38,000 followers on Twitter, so I should see much more impact, but I don't, and I'm not. And Twitter was the place I was going to first in the mornings. Twitter was the first stop, and I've got to say that won't be my first stop in 2011. Make no mistake, Dan and I are not saying Google's dead, Twitter is dead, Macapac is dead. We're not saying anybody's dead here, right? This is not about one thing smashing the other. This is something that perhaps as internet marketers we have ignored and we can no longer ignore. And this is why we wanted to do this webinar now. Okay. Let's move on and get into some real meat. Many of you would have seen an email that I sent out about this fantastic service that Dan is producing and will be releasing in beta form next year. It's brilliantly clever and all that, totally awesome in its own right, but that's actually not what we wanted you to really look at and what you wanted to do. If you notice, this is an opt-in page. You go, huh? What do you mean this is an opt-in page?
I mean, it's a classic landing page. I mean,
it
just doesn't look like one.
Exactly. And would Google, just as a side note, is there any clues there from a Google perspective that this is one of those horrible landing pages? Where's the request for email? Where's the first name box? It's not
Where's
there.
The big red headline?
Where's the big red headline? This is a very pretty, excellent looking page, which is inviting people to a beta program.
Now, I'm going to say, if anybody hasn't seen this page yet, well, first of all, shame on you. So secondly, go have a quick look in your browser now. It's watch.ly, watch.ly, and go and actually go and take a look at the page. The server can definitely handle the load, so go and take a look at it now.
Exactly. Have a look. Go and have a look and follow along with this process, because if you haven't been on there, you'll see what you're seeing now. So what's the only action point? We're on and on and on to challenges all the time about one page, one job.
Yeah.
And the only job here is to connect to get early access to our beta program. And look at that. Down the bottom, we've got the only option is to connect with Facebook. What? I hear you say. Are you serious? Why would you do that? Why would you deny all the people who are not on Facebook? Well, our contention is everybody is on Facebook, but that's not why. The why is the next screen, and I'm a bit sad to say a lot of you miss this. When you press that button, you get this page, and there is so much nuance in this page, and it amazed Dan and I actually what people picked up on and what they didn't pick up on. So I'm going to go through it step by step. We're requesting for permission. This is when you opt in on a traditional web page, when you put in a name and email address, do you know where that's gone? Do you know where your email's gone? Do you know anything about where your data has gone? No. Here, you've got a specific screen which absolutely identifies what's going on. So it accesses your basic information: name, profile, gender, networks, user ID. Dan, sorry,
And
did you want to?
and I have to point out, it's only accessing the information you've made public and allowed Facebook to share publicly.
Correct.
So,
Nothing that's
that's the
private.
key thing.
Yeah. And the huge mistake Dan and I see people making, again, marketers who are not only, killing the goose that lays the golden egg, they are bending it over the bonnet of a car and doing horrible illegal activities to it. I mean, this is what is so horrific. Notice what we've not said there. And this is what, and so many people actually assumed that we had written it there. Like when you look at the comments that we've received. Do you see anywhere that gives us permission to post on your wall? No. No.
No. I mean,
No.
when you choose, when you're creating like effectively connect and opt in with Facebook, you get the choice of basically, I can ask for permission to post on your wall, ask for all your connections with your friends, your employment, everything you've got in your profile. I can even manage your advertising account. I can request all that information.
You can manage their advertising account.
Yeah, it's brilliant. That's one for the late night drunks.
Yeah, exactly.
But you can request pretty much any single piece of information which is stored in Facebook in any way, shape, manner, or form. But the key thing here is asking only for what you need. I mean, one of the considerations when I was working on this with Watchly was, do I actually need permission to post on people's walls? Now, from a marketing point of view, it's fantastic to be able to post on people's walls because that enhances the viral nature of what you're actually doing. So say, for instance, Ed came, went to the site, clicked on the connect button, and I'd asked for permission to post on Ed's wall. As soon as he says allow, I can then post whatever I feel like on his wall. So I can say, Ed Dale just joined Watchly, the most fantastic service in the world. You should go join too. And I can do that. That's no problem. But the trouble is, that's not how you use Facebook. Because as soon as you start breaching those boundaries of acceptable behavior, then the first thing people do is they slam you for it. And then you get a few negatives, and then none of your posts will ever appear again. None of your likes will count. Nothing will matter. So the key thing here is, obviously, I need people's email addresses, and that was the request for me to be able to update them about the Watchly status, send them the beta code invite, and to me that was, a reasonable request to actually ask of someone. So, and obviously that's why it's included there.
When somebody's doing an internet marketing product, most people's friends and family couldn't give two hoots about an internet marketing product. And so it's stupid to ask for access to somebody's wall. Most people do as a matter of course, because they think, oh, we've got to have every possible thing. But this is internet marketers who are jumping onto Facebook that have no idea and no clue, and will get their accounts blown up as a result. You can see, and Dan just sort of, quietly mentioned it. Look at that. Send me an email. Did you have to type in that email? Did you have to put that email in? No. That just automatically, you hit that blue allow button and that email flows directly into Aweber in our case. Or Dan's evil mail serving genius.
Moriarty.
Yes, Moriarty. Let me just recap, because a lot of people just miss this. You hit that blue connect with Facebook button. This box pops up and it asks you your permission to get your email and send the email. And it's right there in the box. You don't have to do anything. And the email, of course, is an email which people actually use, because everybody wants their Facebook email, because that's how they get notified for things with Facebook.
And
so it's not Just go on, mate. Go.
Another point here is basically I'm asking for the email address which is tied directly to your profile. So in all probability, that email is a completely valid email. And one thing which I do see is say I used to have an email address in there, which I literally stopped using, cancelled the account. And so the mail was bouncing. When I logged back into Facebook, it said, your mail appears to be bouncing. You need to change your email address. And it forced me to enter a new email address into Facebook. So therefore, I'm actually getting the latest email address, which is working. It isn't a mailbox full. It isn't bouncing. It's like an actual valid double opt-in email address.
Yep.
And that's the key thing. That it's guaranteed delivery.
Yes, absolutely. And this is the and so what stuns me is that people, if they just understood this technology, what are people trying to do? They're trying to force people to go to their various websites and so on and put in like literally a physical opt-in form. People are putting opt-in forms, for goodness sake, on their Facebook page. It's a crime. It's crazy. You just don't need to do it. As long as you know how to use Facebook Connect, and in fact, we'll be releasing a little app which you'll be able to put onto your Facebook page, so that you'll be able to just get this all automatically. So you don't have to force people to opt in. You don't have to, do crazy, crazy stuff. You can totally 150% kosher with Facebook get people's excellent valid email addresses by asking permission and doing it properly through Facebook Connect. Now, of course, Dan, your opt-in rate must have been horrific because nobody's on Facebook, particularly in the internet marketing area, and nobody would want to do this.
Compared to a traditional squeeze page, it was absolutely dire. Honestly, 91%.
Yeah. It was only, sorry, what was that again?
It was 91%.
Did you say 9.1%?
No, definitely 91. 91% of people who came to the Watchley page connected with Facebook.
91%.
Staggering.
Yep.
I mean, realistically, I was guesstimating around the 30% mark, something like that. Yep. But yeah, 91%. It was absolutely phenomenal.
Okay, so you may want to stick around just for a little bit longer, because as they say in the classics, that's not all. So, okay, I know what people are saying. Right. First thing is, well, hang on, Ed, you're just blowing off half your audience by forcing them to connect with Facebook because they refuse to join Facebook. What do you say to that, Dan?
I'm going to be completely honest. It was a decision we made early on when we were deciding how to actually manage the launch at Watchley, and it was, well, I only want people who are going to give me valid information to join and use my service anyway.
Because what's happening?
I only want those people.
Yeah, exactly. What do we see with the challenge? Even people putting in dodgy email addresses and all that. And why are they doing that? They're doing that because they're trying to protect it. It's not that they're being evil. It's that they're just so sick of all the spam and all the horror. They do want to get access to the stuff that's interesting to them, but unfortunately, it's so abused. And so, this is a much better system for the consumer, for our clients, for our prospects. This is it puts the power completely in their hands. And again, just to really hit home on this, because I couldn't believe how many people didn't actually read and say, oh, great, you've got access to my wall so you can spam the wall. No. No, we don't. And we wouldn't. And you'd be stupid too. You want people to like you and spread and hit that like button on their own free will. At the time of this screenshot here, 613 people had hit the like button. Interestingly, 225 had tweeted.
And statistically, that's just to give you an idea. Once people, if you go through to the next screen, which thanks people, and the one after that.
That one there?
Yeah, that one there. And you see at the bottom, we've got thank you for signing up. As we open up more slots in the new year, we'll email you. Can you help us out by twittering and liking this page? And this is something we didn't know any stats about realistically, so it was, again, a test. And we've actually had 1,690 something people before this webinar sign up and connect on to Watchley. So out of that, that's like 613 people who basically then followed on and liked the page.
Because the power of the like button, because if you've gotten to this far in the process, all you have to do is literally click that button and you're done. Like there's nothing to sign into, there's nothing to do. You just liked it and done. Whereas if you hit that tweet button, you have to go off to another site, you have to put in your Twitter details,
Sign in with Twitter because a lot of people don't use the web.
Exactly, and so on. And every time you're signing into something, there's a small risk that you're showing details to somebody. Whereas if you hit the like button, it's all handled. We made the decision in the challenge to go Facebook login for our forum. And that was because the number one problem we were having was that people were forgetting their username and email, and it was a real support. Like we're talking about tens of thousands of dollars of cost in supporting that simple problem. So we went to Facebook and used Facebook Connect to do it, and boom, problem gone. Now, what about people who are saying, but hang on, aren't you throwing your lot in with Facebook? Aren't you, doesn't that, give Facebook control of everything? Aren't you worried that, Facebook could, shut you down overnight? What are your thoughts on that, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, there's always a risk with Facebook, as with any service like Google. I mean, we talk about using any kind of service, but look how Google slaps you around. You've got like the AdWords slap, you've got ranking changes, you've got all those things. So Facebook is no more evil than anyone else unless you're abusing their service. So to me,
Exactly.
it's a natural connect because I don't want to be seen as somebody abusing the service anyway. Hence, no wall posting. Um,
Yep.
so I think if you're a decent, honest marketer inside of Facebook, and complying with what their requests are, what you can and cannot do, then I don't see there being any problem with Facebook at all. And ultimately, I have to point out, if we're using the process that we've used there, well, if Facebook do switch you off, you've still got those users' email addresses.
Yeah. And
That is something future. But personally, I don't believe that's ever going to be a problem as long as you comply, and
yep.
are not an evil marketer.
Yep. And this is the thing. Like again, let's just have a look at that. See that report application blue button there? It will come up on your screen in a second in the request for permission. Now, if you try to do stuff which is snaky, people hit that button, Facebook take notice. And here's the thing, and this is what concerns me so much of this current crop of people seeking opt-ins on fan pages and stuff like that, is that, if Facebook decide that that's a bad practice, then and they decide to get rid of you off Facebook, that is horrific.
I can see that coming down the line. I can see that
Yeah.
at the moment everybody's trying to grab email addresses directly on the
You know
actual
why,
Facebook
Dan?
page.
To be fair to these people, because I do want to acknowledge the fact it
It's
works.
the only way
Oh
to
my
do it at
goodness.
the moment.
It is working like incredible. It's phenomenal. And as I've said, and you guys have heard me say it, it's like the summer of 2006 with AdSense.
Absolutely.
And it almost killed Google because everybody jumped into it. And I don't know if you guys can recall the summer of 2006, but when people, Joe and Jane Smith were trying to just search for, I don't know, baby nappies, all they were getting in their search results were these AdSense capture pages.
Absolutely.
I've never seen so many of my friends make so much money in such a short period of time. But then Google had to blow it up, and literally they did. In the one dark night in the end of July, they literally just blew up. Literally hundreds of thousands of AdSense accounts banned forever. To this day, we did AdSense in the challenge, and a few people emailed me sheepishly and said, can we do something a bit different to AdSense? Because I can't open an AdSense account anymore. And if you're banned off Facebook, just think of the ramifications of this for a second. It's not just that you're banned, your IP has been banned from a site or something. It's when you go to your kid's kindergarten and, people are swapping Facebook pages to keep in touch for, play dates and mummy and me and all this sort of stuff. And people ask you for your Facebook and you say, I'm not on Facebook. Oh, well, you got to get on Facebook. Okay, here's my email. I don't use email because it's I'm just sick of all the spam. And this is the issue. And this is and instead of people thinking this is an issue, I think this is joyous. I think this is the best thing ever, because let's have a look at this. Dan, if you ever got 26 comments on something that you did, and I just point out, folks, that this is not a big, long blog post. This is just a little status update with a picture. Would at least one of those be a snarky, horrid comment?
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. There'd be some sarcastic.
Without question. Now, that's not to say that there's not criticism of stuff that I post on my fan page. There absolutely is. But people temper. People actually think about what they type. Why?
No
because
anonymity.
It's you. Look at that handsome Kevin B. Taylor there. Handsome dog that he is. Yeah, that's Kevin. Sorry, KT. I hope you don't mind me pointing you out there. I'm sure you'll be fine with it.
But that's the key thing. That's there's no anonymity on Facebook, and to me, that is the best thing about the entire service.
It is the most awesome thing about the entire service, because, people will say things about you anonymously online which they would never, ever, ever say to your face. And on Facebook, they, if they do, then that account is blown up with extreme prejudice. Enough people hit that flag button, sayonara.
And also, I have to point out, from a developer's point of view, Facebook only released recently, it allowed us to go and automatically create fake accounts for testing Facebook applications, because that's always a big thing when you're developing a service. You need to have lots of accounts to test the social aspect.
Yes.
And previous to this, we've had to go out there and actually realistically create, a dozen fake Facebook accounts. And I tell you, like, as of 2 months ago, none of those accounts had lasted for a week before Facebook would actually detect they were fake and remove them. And to me, that is amazing, because all of a sudden I can allow Facebook to actually police my site, to police my services. I don't have to worry about spam and spam comments. I let Facebook security team do that for me, which is phenomenal.
Absolutely, which is another huge error people are making on their fan page. Oh my goodness, this is massive. For the love of the deity of your choice, do not allow people to post on your wall under any circumstances. And I can just tell I'm going to hear all the lovey, huggy, feely people say, oh, but you're not interacting with your community. This is my freaking audience, and they're here because they like what I have to say. If you've got something to say, if you want to put some rubbish link up on my blog post, then go get your own fan page, buddy. Seriously, people, it's a one switch option on your page to not allow people to post to your wall. Now, if you want to do this in your personal profile, I'm totally down with that, because that's the 150 people that you most know and love in this world. But on a Facebook fan page, it is death. Just ask Chipotle, which had somebody post about them cooking dead cats in their burritos. Right? You cannot, under any circumstances, allow people to post on your wall. Comment, no worries. Go for it. Because comments can be moderated. Comments can be flagged. And it's super, super easy to sort out. But please, people, do not allow people to post on your page under any circumstances.
Well, you wouldn't allow a random person to come up and post on your blog.
No, exactly. This is my point. Yeah. And yet, Dan, I am sure I'm going to get some touchy-feely social media managers come and say, oh, well, that's not in the spirit of social interaction. I don't care. Too bad. Don't do it. Don't do it. This is if they want to have a forum to talk about what they want to talk to and sell their acacia berry, because this is the one area where spam is in Facebook, is people allowing, because they just don't understand the permissions properly. There are only two ways you're going to see spam on Facebook. You like somebody you don't absolutely specifically know, or two, you have a fan page and you allow random people to post on your wall. Both intensely stupid things and easily fixed. So please, pens, make sure you noted that down. That is absolutely crucial. Which probably allows us to segue a bit, mate, into into market leadership for a second.
Yep.
And, people, I'm so massive on this. I'm not going to rehash it here now. Hopefully a lot of you have listened to, modules 3 and 4 in the challenge, or have listened to me lecture over the past 2 years. I believe that the way, ultimately, all things being equal, people are going to want to do business with people they know, and I think that's becoming even more critical in the Facebook age. So I think market leadership is a crucial activity. Now, typically, the way my market leadership has gone up through till today has been that I've used Twitter as my traffic cop, as I have, that's been the place I've posted stuff and then have that spread out to any of my other mediums and so on. And I've used Twitter as that. And please, for whatever reason, even though I'm saying please, people are going to hear Dan and Ed hate Twitter, or they're leaving Twitter, or they're Twitter sucks. Not true. Not true. It's just that my focus now for market leadership in 2011 will be well and truly starting from my Facebook page. Why? Numbers don't lie. The traffic is immense. Ultimately, you want people to see what you have to say. And more people are seeing what you have to say on your fan page. And I just challenge you. I challenge all of you to run this test. Just go, take your community, let them know. And here's what's so cool about this. Let's use our hairdresser in Tallahassee. Most people access Facebook on their what? Computer, did I hear you say? Bow, bow. Wrong. Mobile. They access it through their Facebook apps. And if somebody's in a salon and you're cutting their hair and they love it, say, oh, look, could you just log on to Facebook quickly? Just hit like on this page. Here's my iPad. The best single marketing thing that any local business could possibly do. And it's so simple because it's something that people are already used to. They just have to press a button and it's done. It's so simple. So for me in 2011, and we're going to go through this in Challenge Plus in great depth, is from 2011, my fan page will become my most important. Does that mean I'll leave the blog out? No. If I've got a long form article that I need to put out, it'll be posted on my blog, but I'll do the link and the announcement from here because I still get extraordinary impression. I get more traffic coming from my blog if here's the thing, simple test, raw, actual hard data. If I tweet a blog post as compared to Facebook page a blog post, I get 5 times the number of people reading that blog post if I do it on my Facebook page. And remember, I'm in an area where people hate Facebook. I'm in internet marketing. Internet marketers hate Facebook. Well, some of them are having road to Damascus type conversions right about now. But I'm in an area where traditionally people hate it. And I get 5 times the traffic. So the numbers don't lie, people. Numbers don't lie. And I'm going to respect, and I have no fear of Facebook banning my Facebook page because I'm not going to try doing anything scammy or shitty. It's that simple. Trying to keep my market informed about what I'm doing, bringing interesting stuff to my market is what it's all about. I will just be doing that first in my Facebook page. The first thing I'll be looking at in the morning is the Facebook page. Why? Because that's where the most awesome interactions have been. You get the best of all worlds here. Blog comments, administering blog comments are a pain in the neck when you get any size. Administering these are a joy because people have to think about what they say because when they're posting, it's them posting.
And also I want to say that it's like engagement's an important thing, not just from like our point of view. I mean, I love to write something and people actually comment on it, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. And from a marketing point of view, sometimes it is depressing when you write something you think is particularly good and, you get a lot of people reading it, but no communication. And I think with Facebook, it opens up much more of a two-way stream of communication. People kind of will comment because they also expect or are waiting for a reply. And I think that two-way communication is kind of key to any kind of marketing. And I think Facebook is probably the only platform at the moment where you get those kind of engagement levels.
Absolutely. Totally agree. And again, it's just, for me, numbers don't lie. So again, let's just look at some of the other stats that I've got written down here, because people want to know, will it blend? Will it blend? And since I've made the Facebook changes, and so I've started interacting directly with the fan page, and I can't tell you how important that is. Do not use auto tools to interact with your Facebook page. For goodness sake, don't set up Twitter to take a Twitter post and add it to your Facebook status. That is such a big error. It is such a massive error. For sure, if you make a Facebook status update, have it tweet out, but do not use your tweets to update your Facebook page. Huge error, because you get no juice. You get no flow on. Facebook doesn't pass it on. Facebook doesn't spread it. Whereas if you post first in Facebook, it spreads in Facebook, and then you get all the Twitter action on the side. But make sure you're going Facebook to Twitter, not Twitter to Facebook. Huge rookie mistake. And I'm still seeing it talked about everywhere. We recently did a webinar with Caro McCordy, which was great, on local business. Excellent webinar it was. And the first thing that I did, because we were in really massive testing here for Facebook, I was interested, can a post drive opt-ins? Well, in the 12 hours that I had the post up, it drove 654 opt-ins. So approximately 10% of the people who saw it opted in just from the Facebook page alone. And that's more activity than I've seen in a long time, because typically we've seen action, like one of the reasons we've not focused on Facebook and Facebook pages earlier than this, and again, we were stuffing it up, is because we weren't seeing it's all well and good to be communicating, and still excellent. If you didn't sell a thing, I would like to think that we've made a pretty compelling case so far to use your Facebook page as your totem for market leadership. I'd like to think we've made that case. But really, when the rubber hits the road, it's all about getting people to webinars, getting people to look at your product, getting people to buy stuff. That's absolutely crucial. So we promoted when we did the initial promotion for this seminar, we just did it on the Facebook page. And before we emailed, we got 654 opt-ins. So half the opt-ins for that webinar came from the Facebook page before we even sent an email, which is totally awesome, because I didn't bash anybody over the head with it. I just said, here's the seminar, here's the details, click in here to register. And what you'll notice with the Facebook pages do really beautifully, again, something that Facebook are really smart about, is they make it look really nice. So it really stands out in people's news feeds. So we've done that. Then, when we've gone to if we look at this Facebook seminar we almost had capacity before we emailed out on this particular seminar. So people will sign up to seminars. Does that mean that you can stop emailing people? No. Does it mean, and I'm sure we'll get the articles, Ed Dale saying Dan-raine email's dead? No, not saying that at all. I'm just saying that a platform has grown to such a size that you can no longer ignore it. You have to put it as a leg to your a major leg, I would argue, but a leg to your marketing platform. You can't ignore it anymore.
And I also say, even if you're not using Facebook pages or anything like that, then you should consider putting, say, for instance, the like button on your site, because Facebook released some good statistics the other day, which is basically just over half of its user base are now interacting using Facebook Connect and Facebook Like on third-party sites. So people who use Facebook are getting used to actually liking things, say on blog pages and so on. And if you think in June that was only 150 million people were using that kind of service, where you're basically interacting with Facebook externally, now it's up to over 250 million, and that's in 6 short months. And I'm sure that's going to change rapidly over the next Facebook are adding 10,000 sites a day are adding Facebook Like to it.
Yeah, and people are saying, well, why would you give Facebook that control? Why would you do that? Because it's a two-way street. It's win-win. It's because they take away a lot of the horror, and they get engagement, but you still get engagement off the site. And we've got a course coming up in January with Challenge Plus, and there's actually a webinar which is like a preview you can have a look at on my, funnily enough, my Facebook fan page. And we're talking about demographic advertising with Facebook. And of course, getting all those likes and those profiles are crucial for your advertising down the track as well. It just really is a major thing. But what about sales? In that seminar, we sold 43,000, that would have been good. 43, please. 43 sites. When I think we had made 10 off the webinar, we had made 30 after we posted on the Facebook page, and when I emailed it out after that, we picked up an extra 4 sales. So not bad. So, people are buying. People are buying, but you've got to be smart about it. You've got to, people are not going to follow. It's a bit like, same principle as Twitter. If all you do is tweet, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, the only followers you are going to have are non-human ones.
Yeah.
Because anybody who's human has long gone, because they just won't put up with it. You've got to put up great content. And you'll notice with my Facebook fan page, if you go to, .com/tubbynerd, notice how on topic I am, which is very hard for me. There's no iPhone love. There's no iPad love. There's no I love Apple. It's all about internet marketing, core information. That's it. That's all that's there, which is just...
I'm just going to jump in there and give you a statistical, make you happy. Last year, the Facebook, again, released some great data on the type of status updates it had. And there were 25 million status updates, as mentioned, iPhone or iPad last year, which was the 4th largest single keywords used on Facebook.
Well, and I'm probably responsible for half of those.
I'm going to say, just speaking to the punchline there.
Yeah, but now just something. Dan, can you explain what this is that people are seeing now? Because again, because as I say, what's happening at the moment? People are teaching you. Radio techniques for newspaper. They're teaching TV techniques for the internet. What we want to try to alert you to today, and hopefully you take away from this webinar, is that you need to use Facebook techniques for Facebook, not old internet marketing techniques, which worked on a web page, but are just so not congruent with what Facebook is all about. So what's this example here, Dan?
This is an absolutely great kind of middle ground. Now, I'm sure you guys, especially who've been challengers for a couple of years, will remember the great good old service called FriendFeed. And if not, well, never mind, you'll get over it. But FriendFeed was bought by Facebook. But this is a test Facebook are running at this moment in time, and I'm expecting to see this available for the rest of us around about April next year. Now, imagine you've just gone to a website and you're going to register. So you've gone to, Challenge Plus or the Challenge, and okay, we've decided not to force you just to have Facebook Connect. But what this does, as soon as you go to the registration page, remember this is on your own site, this is not on Facebook, then the script detects whether you're already registered for Facebook, and if it detects that you've logged into Facebook in the last 24 hours, it will pre-populate the form on your website with your first and last name and your email address. Now, this is absolutely killer. This is going to really make a huge difference next year, because of any site, this will be hopefully available on any site. So if you've got a registration form or a comment form or something on your website, and people have been on Facebook in the last 24 hours, have signed in, and they come to this form, then Facebook will automatically pre-populate with your first and last name and your Facebook email address. Now, this is going to be huge. Even when they do release this, and I'm thinking they're probably going to do it around about April next year, this is going to be huge for forms, because again, the data people are putting in will automatically go in there, and I know that you're going to have webmasters are going to have the option to restrict you to be able to change stuff. So you can force people to keep the first name and last name and the email address. You can make those fields compulsory and not be selectable. So again, this is another way of using Facebook to connect and getting accurate data without forcing people to actually go through a Facebook Connect process. And I think this is genius. And also, the key thing here, which you'll notice on the screen, it says 17 of my friends have already registered for friend feed.
Particular
So
answer
there's
chat
social
feed.
proof, absolutely social proof built into an opt-in form.
And this is the genius of Facebook. I mean, they get this stuff so down cold. I mean, it's unbelievable how well
Honestly,
they.
I'm sure Larry and Sergey are absolutely pulling their hair out. A, they didn't think of Facebook like, and B, they're not doing something like this.
Yeah, absolutely, and they just don't have it in their DNA
No.
to come up with something that's. And it's not. Is it? Is Facebook going to dominate over Google? No. Is Google going to dominate over Facebook? No. It's it's to quote my favorite filthy podcast. It is not a Highlander situation. There can only be one. It's just not. It's just a I think this is awesome news, particularly when you combine it with Facebook demographic advertising and all these sorts of things. Why? It's because we have two incredibly credible marketing alternatives. Google, let's face it, were treating us like I was actually going to be rude there. They were treating us like not they were not treating us well.
No.
They were not treating us well.
Salesman, that's what they're treating.
Exactly. They were not treated because there was no other game in town, and we just had to bend over and take one for England. Yep. It was just the way it was.
Or for
now,
Arsenal, anyway.
That was the alternative. That was just the alternative. That was it. And so, you've got this extraordinary stuff that is coming down the pipe. Now, what I want to do is I want to take questions. I also, where are we here? What I want to do is that we do, as I said, we have coming up in Challenge Plus, which you can see the address there, challengeplus.co. We've got our Facebook demographic course, and the way we keep you up to date with any of these urgent things is we use Challenge Plus. And what I wanted to do as a thank you for being part of the webinar today is if you want to sign up to Challenge Plus, there at challengeplus.co, if you use the code awesomeness, that's awesomeness, you can get $10 off. So it's only $27 a month. I mean, I haven't calculated that's less than half a Starbucks per day to keep you completely up to date with what's going on and showing you how to use products and doing all of these things. It's a great stepping stone to our flagship product, which is Immediate Edge. But this is a wonderful middle ground for people who are just sort of getting started, want to understand this technology before they sort of graduate. And typically it's $37 a month, but till Friday it's $27, and you can use that tag. That tag goes away as of this Friday. So challengeplus.co, and you'll see a whole bunch of the research and materials that we have already put up this month on Facebook fan pages and some of our research and data and why we think they are so important. So you can have a check out of all of that as well.